It's 8 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, September 5th, 2023. We're in the second section, second cell of the fourth section, that is, of this rotation that started on Friday, August 25th, 2023. And right now the temperature is 80, 82, but it feels hot. It feels a lot hotter. The humidity is really high. We have a wind blowing from the south. And yeah, just heading up the wire got me winded. Whew. I'm damp. Even before I started sweating, I could feel my clothes soaking up that humidity. So, yeah, super humid today. This whole week is going to be in the hundreds. There's a chance of rain on Wednesday and Saturday. A small chance, less than 50%, but a chance nonetheless. So, yeah. This is the new section. Look at all those flies on number 21. 19, huh? That's a big horsefly there. You see that? Oh, I want to grab that. There's another one on her. Let's get these flies off you. There we go. There's another horsefly. That's probably the same one. Those things are huge. Anyway, let me kind of show you the trees. It's a little different in the trees. There we go. And number 18. Well, he's not too scared of me, is he? You want to smell my hand? You want to smell my hand? Yeah, I'm going to keep him. The only bull I'm going to get rid of is the Charolais bull. It's half Charolais, I think half Angus. Anyway, whew. Let's get back to, looks like a nice park here, doesn't it? The cows sure do like to graze under the trees where it's cool. Yeah, that wind coming from the south is not helping things. It's making me feel hotter. I'm just sweating standing here. Anyway, yeah, I just put the wires out. That's all I did. And I got hot and winded. Okay. There's a couple things I wanted to talk about in this video. So, the grasses, native grasses. So, just a thought here is we have this perception that native is good. Couldn't get those horseflies off his back. We have this perception that native is good and foreign is bad when it comes to plant life and animals. And in the long run, nature is going to find a way to move everything everywhere, and things will find their ecological niche, right? And so, you know, how long have we been farming in this area of the United States? You know, hundreds of years now. And what is native and what isn't is kind of a moot point, right? It doesn't, like, the natives don't get any special advantage over the invasive species, they might call it, or exotic species. Some people call it exotic because it's not from around here. Exo means outside, so exotic is stuff from the outside. It doesn't mean like it's fancy or special. It just means it's from the outside. So I think the native grasses are pretty awesome, what they do and how they do it. And yes, they are uniquely adapted to survive in this climate. And yes, they do really well with the pattern that the bison and the buffalo had long ago, right? I think there's nobody's arguing that, right? The question is can another type of grass do better? Can it make stronger and healthier cows than the native grasses? Can it provide more forage with less effort on my part? That's really the question there, is how much work do I have to put in, how much money do I have to pour in order to get the results, right? And when it comes to the native species, they're all warm season grasses, so I'm not going to have anything growing in between the months of October and May. Okay, so I just have to accept the fact that this is going to be a barren wasteland. And to further complicate matters, I know for at least one of the native species, the gamma grass, eastern gamma grass, I cannot graze that. I cannot allow the cows near it in the wintertime. One, because it has no nutrition in the leaves, and two, it'll kill the grass. So there is some special handling involved with some of these grasses that I'm not entirely prepared to do. I have 60 acres and I have access to the 20 acres of my neighbor, but I really don't have the means to control where the cows go. There's a good chance a cow will get out, especially if there's lots of grass that looks yummy on the other side of the fence. Really, the fence is a guideline for the cows. It's not an absolute rule. It's all psychological. So anyway, that's some of the considerations I have to make, right? What I'm looking for is grasses that will suit my pattern, right? My lifestyle. Ultimately, it boils down to, can I make it work, right? And you, with your pasture, if you have one, you are a different person than me. You're willing to do different things. You have different skills and abilities. And so you might decide that you would prefer different kinds of grasses than I prefer, right? Right now, my main purpose isn't to grow a bunch of cattle and make money. My main purpose is to figure out what's working, right? And along with that, I might have to make some changes in my pattern and my lifestyle to adapt to the land and the animals that I have, right? As much as it'd be nice if the cows and the grass did exactly what I told them, what I wanted, the truth is I have to change as well. So that's kind of the thing to consider, is not that native good, foreign bad, but that we have tools in our toolbox and each of them can serve a role. Okay, so if the natives work well with my pattern, then logically they should do well. They should grow better than the other grasses. If it turns out Bermuda grass is the best grass there is for me, then that's what's going to grow in my field, and that's what I'm going to have. If it turns out that the hybrid cool season ryegrass and then the warm season Bermuda grass is the best combo, that's what's going to grow, right? So that's kind of my thoughts there, is I'm not really focused on a particular outcome aside from finding a lifestyle that works for me, my animals, and my land. I guess it's a lot of words to say, do whatever works, right? You should also know that I'm learning. I don't know the stuff I don't know. I don't even know what I don't know right now. I'm kind of I met a guy, he's been doing cattle for 20 years, and he says he's still learning too. That's that root. I like to look sometimes at the soil that's attached to the root when I pull it out. So, like here, you can see that it's kind of sandy, it seems. It doesn't seem like clay. And it's moist. It's moist all the way to the top. So that's kind of interesting to me, to pull these out and look at the roots. And the soil that's attached to the roots as well. I'm just looking. Anyway, the next thing to consider is the species and the breeds, right? I think cattle are kind of ideal. One of the reasons why I think cattle are ideal is they're a lot more hardy, a lot more resilient to bad management than sheep and goats. With sheep and goats, even if you follow all the best practices, you're still going to have problems, right? That's one of the reasons why I went with St. Croix. I'm not doing Dorper. I'm not confident enough to do Dorper. And I'm pretty certain that if I started to do Dorper, they'd all die, because I don't know what I'm doing, right? So, but St. Croix are parasite resistant, and assuming I don't do anything stupid or things don't go awry, they should do okay on my land. So far, I've only lost one, and I think that was to a predator. So, thankfully, the predator got a ram and not a ewe, So, anyway, so that's I do recommend cattle for beginners. They're just so easy, and they're so resilient, and you can make a lot of mistakes and they'll survive. Are they going to be fat? No, but you know, they're just a lot more resilient. So, and I think also a big point of recommendation is when you start doing cattle, make sure you're in an area where people do cattle, right? If you're like the only person doing cattle for 16 counties around, you're going to have a bad time. There's a reason why people aren't doing cattle, likely. And secondly, you won't have anybody to talk to or ask questions to. You won't have a marketplace. That infrastructure that allows you to monetize your cattle easily won't be there for you. And so you'll be left driving all over the place, spending a lot of money on fuel, and talking to people who aren't even in your climate, you know. And they'll tell you to do things that don't work for you because your soil, your terrain, your climate is different than theirs. So, yeah. Oh, there is a shift in Texas. People are noticing that Texans are growing more and more sheep. And I think that's only going to increase in the benefits of sheep. Like everywhere I look, sheep are just appearing. People love a good steak, and steak is good and nutritious, but so is lamb and mutton. I think mutton might make a comeback one day. If you don't know, lamb is of course young sheep. I think my lambs are probably too old to be harvested for lamb meat. And mutton is like older sheep, and mutton has a strong flavor. Beef has a strong flavor, but you know, we've eaten so much beef that we like the flavor of beef. We add it to our soups and stews. We go to the store and we buy beef bouillon, right? And we add it to our sauces and everything. So we like the beef flavor, you know. And I think the American palate can change back to liking sheep again, especially because the benefits of sheep are just amazing for the land. Sheep they're not as suited to like industrial farming practices. They are much more management intensive, and they require more care and more observation, you know. And they eat different food than cows do as well. And I think the benefits of sheep is that they can coexist better with like what we call nature, you know. So sheep would do better on different areas that aren't pasture, you know. And they do better if there's things that aren't grass around them. Whereas cattle, they prefer grass and they prefer big flat areas, you know. So anyway, I think sheep are I think the sheep market is really good. I think as people have extra sheep and the prices aren't as good as they used to be, that people will turn to lamb and maybe even mutton one day to find their protein, because it might turn out to be a little cheaper than beef, especially if it's grown in America. The stuff that we import is pretty expensive, you know. Anyway, so that's sheep and that's lamb. Goats, I haven't done any experiments with goats yet. And from what I've heard about goats, about herding goats, is like sheep, it's a lot of hands-on stuff you need to do. You need to be out there with them a lot. The joke is that if your fence can hold water, it may hold a goat. But nobody can deny the fact that goats just do well in areas where other animals just won't do well, you know. And nobody can deny the productivity of goats, you know, in terms of the volume of meat and things like that. And goat milk too is one of those amazing milks that if you're lactose intolerant, I'm told that goat milk can help. And I've had people tell me that goat milk can solve all kinds of digestion problems. In fact, I need to go buy some goat milk from a local goat rancher, see if it helps my wife's digestion. You know, these cows love leaves. Yeah, I first got the cows and we moved them to my land, and the thing they did is they ran over to the trees and started eating the fresh leaves, and I was amazed. I never thought a cow would eat leaves, you know. But they love to rub on the trees, they love to eat the leaves. They love the brush, to play in the brush, you know. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, find what works for you. Do a lot of research, but don't be afraid to experiment on your own. You know, maybe with your particular plot of land and your lifestyle, you know, maybe another kind of cow or goat or sheep is the answer for you. And everything's an experiment, and you're always learning. So, guys, I hope that encourages you to get out there and try things and just to experiment. I don't plan on making money, especially the first couple of years. You know, I'll be honest with you. If my cattle operation goes really well, from selling cows on the open market or calves on the open market, I can probably make 100,000 in revenue a year if I get the herd to the full size. And the inputs would probably be feed and hay for probably 10,000, 20,000. So it could be an $80,000 a year operation on these 60, 80 acres, which in the grand scheme of things is not that much, you know. Now granted, the property tax relief, or I don't know what you call it, the ag exemption helps. But I believe I'm paying, I don't know exactly, but I believe somewhere in the $30,000 range a year for my property payment, right? And granted, a lot of that's interest, you know. And then over, I think it's a 15-year loan. Yeah, so after 15 years, it'll be mine outright. But, you know, and so if I said, oh, I'm just going to make money from cows, it's not going to cut it, you know. Especially all those sunk costs in the beginning, like, and I might have to go through here in 5 years and redo the fences. What's that going to cost me, you know? So, you know, and you have all those sunk costs you have to account for, and you have to recoup those costs. You know, I was kind of in a unique position where this is a possibility. I decided to go for it. A lot of you people might be in the same position where you're like, yeah, I can do that, you know, go for it. Give it a try, give it a shot, you know. So I probably won't make $1 million over the lifetime of this farm in profit, you know, because of all the costs involved in running this land, you know. I got to remember the water system, like that has a lifespan. After a certain amount of time, I'll have to, you know, dig it up and replace it. So, yeah. Anyway, there's other things that can be done to make money several times over, aside from just selling farm products, you know. And a good farmer will look at all of those income streams and, you know, try to find a good balance of everything. The nice thing about a farm is you have a lot of time. I'm not rushing. At first I was, you know. At first I brought that culture that I had from work. But now, a lot of the times when something goes the way I didn't like, my solution is just wait and see, you know. Sometimes things are covered. Like number 24, let's see if we can find number 24. I think she's over there. I think she's down there. Oh, let's go walk over to her really quick. This will be a 20-minute video, I guess. So a commentator said you should sell 24 while you can get a good price for her. Yeah, the prices are really good right now. I could probably sell her and get, you know, $2,000 for her, right? If I were strapped for cash, I would definitely sell her. If I were trying to make a profit right now, 100% she'd be gone. She'd be gone weeks ago. Maybe at the end of spring I'd sell her, because I'd know she wouldn't get any fatter than at the end of spring. You know, this summer grass, it maintains their weight. It's not really a good way to put on weight. There she is, yep. But the reason why I'm keeping her around is I'm willing to spend $2,000 to see what happens for myself. So to me, she looks healthy. She's just skinny, you know. So if it is worms, which I hope it not, but if it is, I want to see if she can overcome that on her own. If it's the fact that her teeth are wearing down and she's getting old, then she's going to fall over one of these days and she won't get up, and then she'll be worthless. Except the glue factory might want her, right? So, but I want to see if she can recover from this. I want to see if it's possible with no extra care, no medicine. And if she does recover, then a lot of people might see her recovery and say, you know what, maybe I will keep that cow that doesn't seem to be doing well but seems perfectly healthy otherwise. All right guys, allergy season is upon us. Have a great day. Take care and bye-bye.